unless he just loses. Okay. And he's now going Colossus Void Ray, and Colossus Void Ray against 3-base Zerg, it does very, very well. We do have a Spire on the way, but I don't think he's going to be able to make a Muta switch, and going Corruptor off 3-base versus the 3-base Protoss, it gets pretty tough.
Alright, Photon Overcharge is not done yet, but that doesn't really make too much of a difference. However, he did lose a bunch of Hydralisks for no real reason there. So, that's a bit unfortunate. As 4 or 5 went down, that was unnecessary.
Some missed force fields there, but as you said, getting a few units for free in the previous part of the engagement. And he's actually now up 20 supply. Nertio is indeed saving for a Mutalist switch. And if he gets attacked as he's trying to get those Mutas up, he could just flat out die. And this is not the best positions for Mutas. They're really close to each other, surprisingly, for a large map. And it could become pretty hard to actually hold off a frontal attack if Nertio isn't careful about his timings here.
Yeah, Nertio is using this ridiculously fragile composition.
Oh no, he's going Corruptor. I don't know about that.
Okay, yeah, that was good. Never mind for fragile. He was using a very fragile composition with just Ling and Hydra, which dies very, very fast to Colossus and Force Fields, of course, but Majestic has not demonstrated excellent Force Field placement as of yet in this matchup, so he's going to need to nail that unless he wants to get completely overrun here. The addition of 11 Corruptors, does that seem a bit excessive? I mean, there are 4 Void Rays, so...
Well, Corruptors are not at all a counter to Void Rays. Void Rays actually poop on Corruptors.
Yeah.
It's more, what he's going to try and do here is he's just going to try and focus down the Colossus as quickly as he can possibly can, and then try and overrun him with Roach Hydra Ling.
Yeah.
And this is very nearly an all-in. He has a 4th base coming up, but there's no drones there. He has no Hive Tech to fall back on. This attack absolutely has to do a ton of damage for Nertio to have any chance in this game at this point.
Photon Overcharge kicks into place again. The Lings are pretty much obliterated, and the army is forced back. Tries to get a little bit more of a concave. Oh, wow, the Corruptors end up targeting a fake Colossus, which is a big waste of DPS, especially with the slow-firing units. Nertio is starting to plummet in supply. That was a disastrous attack.
Really nice positioning from Majestic. He didn't panic. He just pulled back into a great concave. Nertio went in for a little bit, lost enough units that Majestic was then able to re-engage in whatever fashion he wanted. And that should be the end of it. He can kind of just attack move. Nertio had a bad composition, and he just threw away a ton of units. And Nertio...
Good lord.
This was his game to lose, and he lost.
Oh, he did. He certainly did that. That's probably the only thing he's managed to accomplish this game, unfortunately. Majestic, on the other hand, played cool and calm. He made some mistakes in the early game, but nothing that really crippled him. Just little mistakes here and there, and now he's on the march with a very powerful army. He could still lose from this position, but it would require him to make some pretty phenomenal mistakes, and Nertio doesn't even want to get shot at by that. He's just like, you know what? No, I'm not fighting that.
You can't really blame him. You don't really want to fight into 3 Colossus, a bunch of Force Fields and Stalkers with Hydra Ling.
No, not really.
So well. But that was definitely Nertio getting overconfident there. He was doing a lot of damage with like a handful of units early on. He is a pretty cocky person/player to begin with. And I think he definitely felt like this guy was way, way below his league. He could just kind of do whatever and kill him. And then he ended up throwing way too many units. And against a Void Ray Colossus Protoss, you can never ever underestimate them. Even if they are worse than you, if you let that army get going, they can just roll you no matter what. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Well, Poland is going to be feeling a little shaken now because they're now reliant on a PvP, which so far Majestic hasn't demonstrated any skill in, but he played that match out quite well, and really, Majestic should have lost that game against a player of that caliber. So, it's up to Mana. See what he can do.
Yeah, and as you said, PvP not Mana's forte.
No, it is not.
Although, Majestic's PvP didn't look exactly spectacular the previous game either. Although that was a funky little game. That was probably his first game ever on this kind of stage. No one had ever heard of him before. Maybe a little bit of nerves. And he definitely seemed to play a little bit calm. He looked very nervous, very sloppy early on in the previous game, and then settled out. And often that'll happen. It just takes one good game to get you going. And then you're settled down, you're kind of into it, you realize that this is just like the ladder, except, you know, a lot of people watching. And if you can get over it once, you can get over it again. So hopefully you can play this one all the way through, because you can't afford to be sloppy early on PvP. It gets punished too severely, too quickly. Then you have no room to come back as he did in the previous game.
Yeah. Alright, well. Shaky play by Nertio results in this going to match point, which most people were not expecting. Really solid play in the... well, I say really solid play from Alistar again, you know. Poland has been playing the game of throws up to this point.
Yeah, they have. I don't know. They just shouldn't be losing most of these games that they
No.
are. Like,
Yeah,
the match against Norway was a little bit understandable. Aiki came out of nowhere and was much better than anyone expected.
Yeah.
But these games have just been, they're losing to players who really, really shouldn't be as good as them in really, really dumb ways. And to be fair, they do look out of, well, I don't know if it's being fair, but they do look kind of out of shape. It doesn't look like Nurchio is as clean as he could be. But it didn't look like Vortex was as clean as he should be either.
No.
It's just kind of disappointing play from them.
I tend to agree. We're just waiting for... We're missing one of the French co-casters. Also, apparently, they're too busy betting. In this country, however, there's the land of the free. We are not allowed to do that.
It's €5. I'm sure we could get away with that.
That's what, about current exchange rate? What, $5,000, give or take?
Something like that.
I heard the American economy was in tatters, so I assume
It's
it is.
like 0.2 bitcoins or whatever.
I think it's even less than that. Bitcoin's going to the moon. In fact, they've been going to the moon for quite some time.
What's it at now? Do you know? I haven't actually kept up with it.
It's at $800 per Bitcoin. Which is not too bad.
Has the Chinese lockout like finalized yet?
Don't know.
Or do you not know?
I don't know enough about Bitcoin to really state that. Some people came asking for advice on Bitcoin. It's like, I don't have a clue. I just took the money from the people that wanted to give me the money to make the show match, and that's... And also, I bought a month's worth of Team Liquid Plus with Bitcoins.
I have like 0.006 something Bitcoins that people gave me. And so every once in a while I read about it just because it's kind of an interesting internet nerd topic. But
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Yeah, I haven't done much with them. Apparently, you can use them to buy gift cards, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I think there's a decent amount of resources online that let you either in between third parties that will convert it for you without you really having to worry about anything. So you basically buy it, but it's actually them buying it.
Yeah.
And then there's a growing number of stores that actually accept them.
Indeed, Overstock just started taking them, which is actually quite a big deal because Overstock's a pretty big website. So you can actually buy computer hardware with it, which is quite cool. But, yeah, I believe Naniwa did get the upsell of them because I think when they played their match, they were worth about $600, and apparently Naniwa sold them around $800. So,
yeah.
He did fairly well there.
Yeah, that match happened, like, right after the crash.
It did, yes. So,
like 3 days after.
Everyone was panicking, saying, oh god, this match is going to be worth nothing. But Naniwa sat on them for about a month, and then apparently sold them through some Swedish resellers, so there you go. Alright, anyway, off the Bitcoin topic... And onto the topic that Mana might actually lose to Majestic here on Derelict Watcher.
Well, if we look at their profile outline thingies, Majestic is actually GM, whereas Mana is only in Masters. So I believe Majestic is actually the favorite here.
Okay, yep.
I would add on that ladder system.
Yep. Couldn't agree more with that. In fact, I will demonstrate that immediately. Or at least I would, except... There we go. As you can see, Mana... Masters League. Yeah, that MMR decay, it's a real pain.
It happens really fast now. Anytime I I generally don't play too much StarCraft on the weekends. Anytime I'm away for 2 days and I come back, I have to play through like 5 or 6 absolute scrubs to get back to decent players. It decays so quickly now. I don't know what they changed about it, but it was very noticeable.
Yeah, and their logic behind that is if you take a few days off, you play worse, so they don't want you to get frustrated, so they put you against a weaker player to let you get your skills back. It seems...
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think maybe they're coddling people a little too much. Hello. There we go. That's Mana's Python. I was going to say, hang on a minute, that seems a little bit early, but it's not. No, it's absolutely normal. We're too busy talking about Bitcoins and MMR decay and got confused by the build orders. Such is the way of life. Anyway, on Derelict Watcher to the northeast position, the Blue Trunks playing Protoss, the last man standing for Team Poland. Can he take his team through to face in a rematch against Norway? Here's Mana. And you know what? I'm used to saying Mouse Sports Mana, and it's really weird not to do that now. Versus his opponent to the southwest position in the Red Trunks. Also playing Protoss, the last man standing for Team Spain. The deciding match. It is Majestic.
I think this is the third match we've had go to a decisive game now.
Yeah.
These matches have all been much closer than I expected. And much closer in weird ways. I figured maybe Russia-Poland would be close, and then everything else would be a stomp. Russia and Poland didn't even get to play, and then a bunch of the other matches were close anymore.
It was a little bit strange, wasn't it? And this has only got to the deciding match through a series of very weird game throws on both sides, where one one player was 99% sure they were going to win and then decided to invest in the 1% instead, and it just went the other way.
Nurchio was taking some of those bets from the French casters against himself.
Don't you dare bring the Samia back in here.
I know.
It is the forbidden topic. We cannot discuss it.
So this game, we have a bit of a deviation. There's only two probes each gas for Majestic, which looks like the same kind of 2-gateway stalker opening that he did the previous game. Whereas we have 6 probes on gas for Mana, so he may be going for a tech opening. I believe he played a PvP against Aiki.
He did, and he went DT, and it was a disaster.
Super fast DT, super big failure.
Yep.
He played a decent game to try and come back from that, but it ended up being too much. I feel like if he played a game like, he had a building queued up, and then he stopped doing it because he realized there was a probe scout there, but I didn't see what it was.
I guess we'll find out fairly shortly. He is building up gas, so he should have 100 quite soon after getting his warp gate tech. And also, of course, building a mothership core. Drives the probe away. Didn't die. Of course, it was nothing to actually kill it in the first place. There's the mothership core. So what does he do with this gas? Because he's still banking it up. Are we going to see Twilight Council and DT?
He has enough for a Stargate, and it is going to be a Stargate.
All right.
So. Oracle opening, I suppose? Or do they go Phoenix now? I don't know. The last time I was watching PvP, everyone opened up with a couple of Oracles quick, and then maybe transitioned to Phoenix, and everything got real weird. And looks like Majestic is going Twilight Council.
Okay. The question is that for Blink? I mean, it looks like it is, yeah. He's got 2 gateways, and he's building Stalkers, so it's likely.
It would be a very strange, very late, very risky DT.
It would.
Not work well. Blink Stalker here would be quite good. If nothing else, it would at least allow him to defend the Stargate play and get up an expansion. If he wants to, he could go for some kind of 3-gateway Blink Stalker all in, but that doesn't seem to be too much in his style. He seems to be a relatively conservative player for an unknown Protoss.
Yeah.
We've actually had 2 of those come out today. Usually you see a Protoss player who you don't know anything about, who's having some success, you figure they're just cheesing, because that's been a good way for Protosses to get ahead. Pretty much since the beginning of StarCraft 2. But both Ike and Majestic have been playing macro games, or at least trying to play macro games.
Perhaps that's the European style of things. In America, you have the Hitman Doctrine, where a lot of these newer Protosses are pulling out some crazy cheese.
Perhaps.
Oracle is out.
Oracle is out. No additional Stargate units being built just yet, and a Robo coming up. Majestic poking around with his mothership core, but not actually finding anything, not getting any scouting information at all, I don't believe.
He suspects, though. I mean, he's got 3 Stalkers sitting in his mineral line here.
Yeah, it would take a pretty big blunder on Majestic's part for this Oracle to actually do any damage at this point, with 3 Stalkers sitting right there.
Yeah, that should certainly do the job. I mean, there's... Since he
Majestic,
hasn't taken his expansion yet, no reason not to.
Majestic is actually dropping forward pylon. He already has 3 gateways up. He has a Robo coming, so it's not like a 4-gateway silly Blink Stalker all in or something like that. But this could definitely turn into at least a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, 3-gate Blink pressure is certainly good.
4 gateways and a Robo.
All right, okay.
It's going hand.
Well. All right, Void Ray on the way out for Mana. He'll need a couple of those. Way more, in fact. Blink is about to be done. 5 Stalkers. The Oracle backstab coming in, but there are still 2 Stalkers left. Majestic with... it's very tempting, I suppose, to throw all your Stalkers at your opponent thinking, I've got way more units than him, but if he holds and you lose your entire mineral line in trade for that, then that's not worth it.
And Mana saw the 4th gateway. He knows what's happening, and he has an Immortal and a Void Ray. Both of those are extremely good at killing Stalkers. And both of them are on the way out. As soon as, he's going to have to cancel this Nexus if Majestic keeps trying to hit it. Majestic, it's a smart move by him to run into the main, because if Mana cancels that Nexus, he's fine anyway. He really needs to do significant, severe damage at this point. I don't think he's going to be able to. So, the expansion is going to be done for Mana. Mana's going to have better, stronger tech. And
ugly.
Majestic really doesn't have anything going for him at this point.
No, not really. That doesn't seem like it's going to work. The overcharge going in. Time Warp is forced out. No recall available. Not that it's really needed with the Blink, but Majestic did blink forward quite aggressively there. It did help him out by killing at least a unit or 2, but this isn't really doing anything for him.
He did take out that Void Ray. Maybe when Photon Overcharge dissipates, he's going to have an opportunity to blink in aggressively. He continues to warp in Stalker, so that is going to be what he's going for. He's going to happen one way or the other. He doesn't really have much else to fall back on. But with 2 Immortals out, good number of Zealots, I don't know, this is going to be tough for Majestic.
Yep, he's able to sneak out there, loses yet another Stalker. He's managed to work the shields off the Nexus. He's still trying to take that out, but as he said, there's another Immortal, there's another Void Ray coming out, there's about to be a third Immortal. Oracle makes its way in, gets 4 probe kills, and gets out with 10 HP. Really nice control there. I mean, it's got enough energy to do whatever it wants, but those Stalkers are continuing to defend quite nicely here.
And there's another Photon Overcharge available.
He
does cast it.
Oh, he's gone for it right in. He just blinked right on top of the Immortals, took out one and lost half his Stalker army in the process.
He took out he was trying to get the Mothership Core before the Photon Overcharge went off, but Mana was waiting for it. The moment he saw the blink, he cast that.
Nice.
And also overcharging his Void Ray, just doing everything right. And plus he had the tech advantage anyway.
Yeah.
Another Immortal coming out. Not a whole lot of gateway units, only 2 gateways, so that is a small problem if he manages to pick off another Immortal. But he just lost so many Stalkers there. And with that extra Nexus running, extra Chrono Charges available to get more Void Rays, more Immortals out, it's not looking so good for Majestic here.
Well, I'll give Majestic credit. His actual defense against this Oracle has been really on point. He hasn't made any mistakes there. The Oracle's only had 4 kills. It, by all rights, should have had a hell of a lot more than that. However, this is going to be a bit of a struggle for Majestic, and oh, he didn't even get the Immortal. He is getting gutted here, losing yet more Stalkers, and that is nasty. He loses a couple even to a couple of Zealot swipes. And there's the GG, and Mana takes the victory. More hard fought again than we would have expected there for Poland.
Yeah, definitely. Losing Nurcho to Majestic, I really think that was just Nurcho getting kind of cocky there. That really shouldn't have happened. But well done to Majestic for actually taking out a win there and making it close, getting into that deciding match. But I don't know. That match should have been a foregone conclusion. That should not have been as hard as it was for Poland.
No, I don't think so. And Nurcio losing against Majestic was unexpected. And I don't know about Dystar versus Alistar. You wouldn't have really known there, but that could have really gone either way, because Nurcio also could have thrown it against Alistar, but Alistar threw before Nurcio had the chance to, so that really wasn't a factor there, but that could have very easily gone the other way. I still think Mana could have held the line, but it would have been a much more challenging thing to do.
Certainly, especially against the likes of Vortex, because Vortex didn't look great in ZVZ, but ZVP, I believe, has always been a matchup where he's relatively comfortable. Even though it didn't look like it against Titan, I would have been a little bit worried for Mana if he had to play up against him. So, yeah, really close match with a lot of weird little tipping points in there. So many throws.
Certainly.
So many throws.
All right, well, we're going to go to a 15-minute break. When we come back from this 15-minute break, we will have the final match of the evening. That is going to be the losers' final it's a rematch between Poland and Norway. And Poland, of course, lost that quite convincingly to Norway the first time around. And some of the players on Poland are looking a little shaky, but we will see if Norway is able to repeat that success or whether Poland comes up with the comeback. We'll be back in 15 minutes, folks. Don't go anywhere. Well, okay, you can go somewhere. You got 15 minutes, but then you got to come back.